It appears we were correct from the start. Traditionalist guard dog gathering legal watch keeps on revealing defilement upon debasement and lie upon lie as the Obama organization's place of cards keeps on falling. Chief of Examinations and Exploration at Legal Watch, Chris Farrell, was a visitor on Fox News on Friday evening. Through the course of his meeting, he uncovered exactly how profound the rabbit gap goes, as he talked about finally the segment of Huma Abedin's messages discharged by the State Division as of late. Farrell particularly itemized how disrespected previous FBI Chief James Comey prevaricated himself before Congress while talking about the messages time and again. No less than 4 messages resolved to be characterized were found among 2,800 reports put away on a workstation having a place with Anthony Weiner. His significant other Huma Abedin is the previous Vice President of Staff to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. The messages date from 2010, 2011 and 2012 with different exchanges with Center Eastern pioneers including Israel, the assembled Bedouin Emirates, Hamas, and the Palestinian specialist. Preceding the archive's discharge by the State Office, expansive and long bits up to and including whole pages were redacted. 3 of the messages being referred to were sent either to or from an address called BBB Reinforcement, which one email recognizes as a reinforcement of a BlackBerry Strong 9700, accepted to have a place with Abedin. Fox News revealed Friday, no less than 4 of the records discharged Friday are stamped grouped. One November 2010 record that was discharged shows Abedin sending an email to an address titled Anthony Battle. Previous FBI executive James Comey said amid a congressional hearing recently that he trusted Abedin frequently sent messages to Weiner for him to print out so she could offer them to Clinton. The portion on Fox News goes ahead to call attention to that Legal Watch asked for these messages. The traditionalist gathering Legal Watch recorded suit against the State Division for all official office messages sent or got by Abedin on a non-state government email address. This is a noteworthy triumph, the gathering's leader, Tom Fitton, said in a Friday proclamation. Following quite a while of diligent work in government court, Legal Watch has constrained the state office to at long last enable Americans to see these open reports. Fitton included, that these administration docs were on Anthony Weiner's PC drastically delineates the requirement for the Equity Office to at long last complete a genuine examination of Hillary Clinton's and Huma Abedin's undeniable infringement of law.
The conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch filed the suit against the State Department for Huma Abedin's emails. They are describing this release as a major victory for them. Joining us from Judicial Watch tonight is Chris Farrell, the Director of Investigations and Research. There have been so many email dumps, Chris. Why is this one different?
Well, this is the 20th production in this case. This one's critical because it places classified information on the Weiner laptop. It beyond any doubt, according to the State Department themselves, proves that classified information was forwarded in an unlawful way. It's a direct violation of Title 18 of the U.S. Code, Section 793F, which is mishandling national defense information. I personally have investigated and prosecuted those cases as an Army counterintelligence special agent. I know that people have been jailed for a tiny fraction of what has now been made public and documented through Judicial Watch's litigation. And so this really cries out for a legitimate investigation being done. Your earlier clip with Mr. Comey talking about intent is a fraud. There's no requirement for improving intent under that particular citation I gave you a moment ago. Intent is irrelevant. The fact that the loss or the mishandling of the national defense information occurred, that's the crime.
Chris, I want to follow up on that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but another Comey clip there where he said in testimony on the Hill, Abedin didn't have a sense she was violating the law. I've never heard of such a thing.
It's irrelevant. And no one, let me tell you, no one in the armed forces, the intelligence community, or law enforcement, no one listening to this program tonight who has ever had a security clearance would ever buy that kind of phony excuse. Comey already manufactured his get-out-of-jail-free card for Hillary Clinton, months before she was even subject interviewed in July. And that's been documented as well. Frankly, these documents could form the foundation for an indictment of Comey and Strzok the investigator who is at the center of this entire nightmare of a security problem.
I'm glad you mentioned Peter Strzok, the FBI agent who sent those text messages that were pro-Trump, pro-Clinton, I should say, anti-Trump.
Right.
We've learned more recently. He was in the middle of basically running this investigation and looking through that laptop, in fact. The fact that we didn't know that then, right before the election, is that grounds now for the Justice Department to say, we need to reopen this, there needs to be a criminal investigation?
Absolutely, because on the 2nd of July, when Mrs. Clinton was interviewed, she wasn't even Mirandized. You had federal agents who had reason to believe the person sitting in front of them had committed a crime. And through the lawyering of David Kendall, what should have been a subject interview under oath of Mrs. Clinton turned into a coffee and donut session. And when she sat there and said she could not remember more than 30 some odd times, it doesn't pass the giggle test. No one in their right mind would believe that. And also, when someone says that, you pause the interview, you pull out her non-disclosure agreement, you have her review it and refresh her recollection, and then ask her to explain how she doesn't remember
Chris,
being briefed on this.
I've got a minute left. Let's say, for argument's sake, that everything you just laid out is 100% accurate, that there should be a criminal investigation, that there may have been serious wrongdoing here that they got away with. But what do you say to the viewer tonight watching this saying, you're relitigating old stuff. Hillary Clinton lost the election. Let's move on.
It has nothing to do with the politics of losing an election. What it has to do with is violating national security law and putting top secret sensitive compartmented information at risk, and not just at risk, but likely compromised to foreign intelligence services. Not just the information itself, but the sources and methods of collection. This is the gravest national security crime one can commit. It's not an administrative oops. This is a crime that borders on treason, and it's punishable at that level.
Chris Farrell, important stakes tonight. We appreciate you coming in. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Farrell expressed of Abedin's messages. I realize that individuals have been imprisoned for a small amount, a minor portion, of what has now been made open and archived through Legal Watch's prosecution. Thus this truly shouts out for a real examination being finished. Your prior clasp with Mr. Comey discussing plan is a fake. There's no necessity for demonstrating aim under that specific reference I gave you a minute prior. The expectation is insignificant. The way that the misfortune or the misusing of the national barrier data happened, that is the wrongdoing. To be perfectly honest, these archives affirm the establishment for a prosecution of Comey and Peter Strzok, the agent who is at the focal point of this whole bad dream of a security issue. One page of a record discharged Friday is intensely redacted and checked characterized. It notices refresh on Hamas dad talks, alluding to the Palestinian expert. Another is a 4-page call sheet intended to manage Hillary through a delicate telephone call with Benjamin Netanyahu. However, a third is an itemized summary of issues Hillary was required to address amid a call with Saud Canister Faisal receptacle Abdulaziz Al Saud, who filled in as Saudi Arabia's outside priest up until 2015. The purported call sheet identifies with the forthcoming expected production of yet another monstrous trove of U.S. discretionary links by WikiLeaks, with the call sheet encouraging Hillary to state, "This seems, by all accounts, to be the after effect of an unlawful demonstration in which a completely cleared knowledge officer stole data and offered it to a site. The individual capable will be arraigned minus all potential limitations degree of the law." It seems, by all accounts, to be a notice from Hillary to the Saudis around a looming break of the points of interest of private discussions with your legislature on Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan. Normally, as a non-military personnel, Weiner would have been denied from getting, perusing, or notwithstanding having such archives without trusted status. In spite of the fact that a previous congressman, he surrendered in mid-2011 in the midst of critical embarrassment. It is likewise very improbable that he had such trusted status even while filling in as an open authority, given that he didn't serve on any House advisory groups that would open him to any kind of touchy outside approach matters. Moreover, notwithstanding the assignment of characterized among particular reports, knowledge offices cautioned that the archives being referred to are conceived ordered, implying that their circulation is limited regardless of whether they bear grouped stamps or other recognizing marks. Comey has more than once demonstrated he needs testicular strength and in addition any kind of fundamental good compass considering the Clinton wrongdoing family responsible for their rule of fear over Washington, and whatever remains of America when amidst a strained presidential battle he declined to indict Hillary Clinton for her utilization of a private email server while she was Secretary of State. He additionally declined to indict amid the Whitewater embarrassment and additionally different cases, delegating himself as a defender of sorts for the Clintons and enabling them to keep on functioning exempt from the rules that everyone else follows.
Now we have the fired FBI Director James Comey tweeting. So let me just share this with everyone. Here's the quote. "But justice rolled down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream." If you actually look at his Instagram, it's this whole picture of a stream and rocks, Amos 5:24. How, Karin, do you interpret that?
Comey doesn't tweet much, but when he does, he likes to quote important, weighty things. I think this is him kind of sitting back and having his moment of thinking, ha, I said so, I knew it, I wasn't wrong. I mean, look, the guy got pushed out of his job by the president, and it was connected to people that are involved in the events of today. And so he's clearly watching all this. He clearly has thoughts and feelings about that, and he's expressing it all in a tweet that is using somebody else's words, which is, if you look through his Twitter profile, it's how he tweets when he very seldom tweets. So that's just kind of, you know, the narrator voice off to the side, really, of James Comey remarking on this whole proceeding. And certainly it's still, his firing is what touched off, you know, much of this, right? I mean, you can't take that out of the equation. Had the president not gotten rid of Comey, there never would have been a special counsel. The special counsel would then never be looking at Michael Flynn and the very senior members of the Trump transition team that he apparently was speaking with when it came to doing what he now he admits he lied about to the FBI. So Comey's weirdly the catalyst in that, and he's now taking his moment to kind of, you know, say,
Brooke,
I can see what's happening here.
Yeah.
Brooke,
Go ahead, Jeff.
it's the biblical version of "I told you so."
Yeah.
Nanny boo-boo is what that was.
It's even better than that, because the thing that the president was asking Comey to let go of was the investigation of the lies that Flynn pled guilty to today. So boy, was Comey righteous in refusing the president's request.